Hello, and thank you for watching Ask Ron, where Ron answers our Gold Club members' questions each and every week. My name is Adel, and I'm here with Ron. How you doing today, Ron?
I'm excellent, man. You should be down here right now. You Northerners are getting snowed under. You couldn't ask for a more perfect day down here.
It's great, yeah.
But don't move down here. We don't know how to...
All right. If you have questions you'd like Ron to ask, first make sure you're a Gold Club member. You can get all the details about the membership at ronsgoldclub.com. Our first question comes from Robert in Oregon. Hey, Ron, I found out that you're going on various social media platforms to promote your programs and courses. How is that currently working out for you?
You wouldn't believe it. If you want to know the truth, you wouldn't believe it. And you can probably answer that better than me. We hit a lot of those platforms with some videos last weekend and the weekend before, generated millions of hits.
Yeah.
Millions of hits, multiple channels. So it's working out very well so far. We like what we see.
Yes, sir. Yep. All right. Tony and Angie Stewart from Ohio.
Good old Tony and Angie.
Ron, when you're structuring a creative deal where the seller is still in communication with their lender, especially on the sub-2 or wrap, how do you manage or limit that communication to prevent confusion or deal sabotage? Do you have a preferred script or agreement to keep everyone in their lane?
So did he say I'm communicating with their lender?
I think he said the seller is still communicating with the lender.
Okay, well then who am I communicating with? I don't understand that, Tony. Many times I told you, Tony, you got to write them as if you're on the other end and understand what they say. I don't know who's going to have a conversation with the lender. It's not going to be the seller. It's not going to be me. So who else is it? I don't talk to the lender. I can't talk to the lender. They won't even talk to me because I don't have permission. And by law, they can't talk to me unless the seller gives them permission. Seller don't need to talk to them either. You're not even getting a payoff letter till you cash out. There's no reason to talk to the bank at all. That's going to create a problem for you.
All right, question answered.
All right.
Do we, Stephen from New York, do we provide something regarding mortgage interest to the tenant buyer like you would receive from a traditional bank?
No. And the buyer is not paying mortgage interest. They're paying rent. Okay, this is rent to own, not buy to own. All right. And somebody's going to ask me, do I give the credit for that and toward their purchase price? The answer is no. I never have, and there's no reason to.
Sir. Tracy, is it legal to and okay to, if you have a property under lease option, to buy with the current owner? May I get a contract with my end buyer to buy outright from me, or get a loan contract with my end buyer to let them make a down payment, payments in the middle for the same term I have on the option with the current owner, and a balloon payment in the end?
Okay, that's simple.
I didn't really understand.
I think I got it. Okay. All right. Here's the process. When you buy the house, you're going to make the payment directly to the lender. Okay. And by the way, make sure you put the loan number on the bottom of that check, and I'd put their names up there as well. Because if you don't, that payment's going to land in lost payment heaven somewhere and never to be found again. So the bank won't know what to do with it. Now, when I buy the house, okay, I can get the deed. I own the house. I can do whatever I want to do with it. When I put a lease option tenant buyer in the house, and they have the right to buy, starting with 2 years in my case, but I mean, they can buy anytime they own the house all the way. I've got some been in there 10, 11 years, still haven't bought. Most of them do not buy. And that's something you'll only learn when you get into the business. You'd think they'd all buy. They put up thousands of dollars. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah. And if you think it through, all the reasons that the buyer can't buy, even though they want to, nobody's going to give you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 down that don't have the intention to buy. But on the other hand, we all have intentions to do a lot of things. It don't work out that way. Sickness, bad health, divorce, got to move, lost a job, or got to move out of town for another job, or just get tired of the house and don't want to buy it anymore, or they bit off more than they could chew and they don't realize it for a while, or they don't like the neighbors or whatever. All these reasons people don't buy. And it's very clear that if they don't buy, they will forfeit that deposit. If they do buy, it gets credited toward their purchase price and their down payment. But if they don't buy, they lose it. And that's very clear going in. That's one reason why I want you guys to make sure you use attorneys on anything where the seller and or the buyer has an ongoing relationship with you. I don't need them for cash deals in or out, but you definitely need them for terms deals. And of course, your lease options are pretty much the same all across the country, but you still got to understand your rules there, and that's where your attorney comes in. I know, for example, I remember in North Carolina and Pennsylvania, I believe, when you put a lease option tenant buyer in the house, you got to file a memorandum of that option so the world knows there's an option on the property to protect that buyer. I don't know of any other states, but anyway, it's pretty much the same across the country. Might be a little bit of Texas, for example, you can only option it for 6 months, but that doesn't mean they have to move at the end of 6 months. It means their option expires at the end of 6 months, and they have to be notified. All right, and you can stay leave them in the house as long as they want to be there, and I can still give them credit. Nobody can stop me from giving them credit if and when they buy in the future.
Gotcha. Just a follow-up question on Texas. So is that like a mutual agreement between you and the seller then?
And I wouldn't put it in writing.
Okay.
Okay. Just tell the seller that.
Okay.
And it's true.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay there as long as they want to stay there.
Gotcha.
Pay off my loan for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thomas from Arizona. When starting a lease option with the seller, do I go to close at the title company with the purchase and sell agreement and the lease agreement before I have a buyer? Or do I wait to actually close till I have a buyer and we get to the closing done?
When you're lease optioning from the seller and you agree on everything and you walk out of that house with that lease option agreement signed, you are closed. There is no escrow period. In fact, there's not even an earnest money deposit, no place on the agreement to put it because there's no escrow period. All right. Now, when I put a tenant buyer in the house, I use the lease option agreement, a different one, and purchase and sale agreement doesn't come into play until they tell me they're ready to get a loan, buy the house, and that's probably closer to never than anytime in the near future. Every once in a while, one I'm gonna buy, and I lose another golden goose. But I would never stand in the way of anybody that wants to buy their house and does what they need to get their credit cleaned up or whatever. They deserve to buy it, and I'm happy for them. And that goose will die. I'll just go get another one.
Yep, better deal somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sophia from California. Ron, with interest rates still higher than they were a few years ago and sellers feeling stuck with low rate loans, I'm running into a lot of people who want to sell but don't want to lose their current mortgage. How are you structuring and presenting creative offers right now, like subject to a wraps, in a way that makes sense? These sellers feel safe and confident saying yes without getting bogged down in all the scary headlines about the market.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not selling houses any different than I did in the 80s. Put lease option tenant buyers in there. We agree on a price. We agree on a monthly payment. We agree on a term. Hand them the keys and forget about them. They're responsible for the repairs after the first 30 days. And they take that seriously because they want to be buyers, and buyers take care of their own repairs. They don't have a landlord to call. So I just say, we're training you early. Okay. And honestly, when I tell them that, I don't get any objections on that.
Yeah.
That I can ever remember. And so that goes on for as long as they want it to go on. I don't tell them when to move. I hope they don't ever move.
Yep.
All right. That's contrary to everything you're going to hear on the internet. Put them in, get them cashed out as soon as you can. That's the only way to get another check. That ain't the only way to grow wealthy. Wealth comes from leaving them in there. The longer you own the house, the more it'll pay you.
Yep. All right. Derrick from Texas. I'm seeing more motivated sellers who are behind on payments, plus buyers who can't qualify for traditional loans because of tighter lending standards and higher monthly payments. In today's economy, what's your favorite way to quickly match these two groups, motivated sellers and strong tenant buyers, so that you can create a profitable deal with little or no money out of your pocket?
All right. Glad you brought that up, because today you got a whole other business within the business out there of houses like you described that are like new, probably only 1, 2, 3 years old, and the seller's been in it that long. Might have got financed with the VA loan, which means there's not much equity in them except what it went up after they bought it. And they're in excellent shape, and they're in excellent neighborhoods. When these people can't afford that payment anymore, they will beg you to come buy the house. You know that better than anyone.
Yes, yep.
This is, by the way, is my acquisitionist, in case you didn't pick that up. His name is Adel, Adel, not Adele. He sings. He doesn't sing a lick.
Not close.
And he's also one of our mentors, and he's also works at Global and multiple things that he's doing right now, including what we're doing right now. He's also the guy that's going to be on the phone with you on all your conference calls and I mean, he has many, many roles here. So he wouldn't be able to handle them if he actually spent much time buying houses first. But, he tells me he spends 10 hours a week, and I know he's lying. Because today, there isn't much to do. There really isn't much to do to buy houses if you use the systems and if you use the media. When you sell a house today, there's no cost because it's all online. It's free, unless you want to run some paid ads, and I don't think that's necessary with lease option tenant buyers. So you guys got to get systemized. Let us help you do that. Put these inexpensive systems in place, and they do most of the work for you. And what they don't do, you have outside companies like Pat Live answering the phone for you all day, and VAs calling the sellers for you. When you get that done, you're never going to go back because there truly isn't much to take up your time. In your case, you don't even you attract the sellers using 2 or 3 different things. They go to Pat Live if they call.
Yes, sir.
Pat Live sends it to you immediately. You send it to the VA to get the property information sheet filled out. I mean, this is a lot of work so far. And you wait for the VA to get it sent back to you. Then you pick up the phone and you have a 2-minute call, read my scripts, and find out if there's any reason to go with them further.
Yep.
And most of them are dead. Yep. Right there. But so you're looking for the few that creep through that are happy to sell on terms and glad you came into their life, which is all you can handle anyway. So what's left to do? Once in a while, he gets to the point where he wants to go to the house because they're talking about terms, and he knows he can buy the house, so he's going to go see if he wants it. And the terms are negotiated right on the phone. But follow my simple $1 million script. Now think about how much time that took. Very, very little. Okay, go out to look at a house once or twice or 3 times a month, and probably buy half of them would be a good guess, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
And the other half that you don't buy, some of them might be because you just can't come to terms right now. Yeah. Those you stick in the dream system to follow up on, and you buy as many houses on the follow-up as you do on the front end, don't you?
Yep, more.
Probably more. Yeah. Okay. You got to hit them when it's time for them to make a decision. All sellers' minds change with time and circumstance.
It is an absolute fact.
Yes, fact. And a lot of investors are totally losing all that, and they really don't know what they lost, so it don't hurt anything. Anyway, a system is so simple, so cheap, and so it literally truly leaves you very little to do. I understand. Yeah. Okay. I probably put in an hour a week in real estate.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I can put that much.
I was going to say, I don't know about that.
Nothing left for me to do.
Yeah. Just make some decisions when I send you an email, basically.
So I want you guys to get into business, get systemized, and get bored. Then you can go do something else because there's not much for you to do in real estate. It's true. It's absolutely true.
It is. All right. Well, that was our last question. So once again, okay. If you're interested in having your questions answered live, go to ronsgoldclub.com. And any parting words?
Well, I've always got parting words. I just did a seminar. So, anyway, I may go back here. Remember those deals that we were talking about? I didn't finish that speech.
Okay.
Think about this. For the last couple of years, rates have gone up. By the way, if you think the rates are high now, you should have been around when I started. Prime rate, 16.8%. I remember sitting in a restaurant with a fellow one time. We was talking about that, and I remember saying, I wonder if we're ever going to get the rates down to 10% again. That's the truth. That's the truth. We got to change with the circumstances. Okay, we got to change it. We're not going to stay in business. When those rates were that high, it was very hard to sell a house, and yet we still sold some. I mean, there were lower properties because the rates were so high to create a big payments. It's also where we learned how to handle houses seller financing. I mean, realtors are dropping like flies because they didn't have any business. We adapted, and it corrected itself over the next few years. In fact, at the boot camp now, I went back to 1985, and I asked Siri, what is the median price house 1985, and what it was 1995, then 2005, then 2015, then 2025. Yeah. To make the case, there's not a decade that's passed when as long as we've been alive where houses didn't go up considerably during that decade. Now sometimes they go up, come down, go up and correct like stocks do. But real estate is that one asset you can count on being around there, and the company's not going to go out of business. And real estate, we got to have real estate. We're going to live in it while we're alive and probably be buried under it when we're dead. So you better get used to it. And there's always a market. You're never going to run out of a market where people can't sell houses. Because if you do, we don't have an economy. And that's not going to let that happen. And then you're never going to run out of a market where people don't want to buy houses. You know, that's very strong motivation in people. So there's always going to be a way. Now you're in the middle and you're adapting to the our market out there. As soon as you learn how to adapt and you're not letting all the things that can happen and you have no control over affect your business. Right? I can't do anything about the interest rates. Only thing I can do about who's president is I vote. That's not much pull on my part. So we got to do what we can do, get our cash flow up, take care of our house. We don't have to worry what goes on in the White House. You know, guys, get in the game. So many of you out there watching right now, you know, wishing you were in real estate. What is stopping you? What is stopping you? Right out loud. I think we're going to have a great year this year too. So good year to get in it. You know, every year I say that though. It's always a good year. Not a year gone by since 1982 that we couldn't go buy houses. So, all right, I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.
We'll be here.
All right. By the way, we're going to be recording some videos. We'll put them on the Gold Club site as we do them so you can watch them as well. Designed to go out into the social media, which we were pretty heavy on the last 2 weekends.
Yes,
You guys probably saw us. I'm even on TikTok. You know that? I'm on TikTok.
Yep. Got millions of views and about 62,000 followers in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, we're making it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now we got to go out there and get their attention and get them on board.
Yep.
Come in to plan a run. All right.
Sure.
See you all next week.
All right.